Hi, this is Betsy Beers. I'm the executive producer of Grey's Anatomy Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, and this is Sondaland Revealed, the official Sondaland podcast for the night that people like to call TGIT. Okay, I like to call it TGIT too, because it's easier than saying the whole thing of all the names of stuff. But it is the official podcast. I'm getting off topic like I always do. And we are here to talk about episode 214, but it's the penultimate episode of one of my favorite shows, How to Get Away with Murder, because come on, you guys, this show's crazy balls this season. I mean, it's crazy. And one of my favorite people's here too, who I am so grateful has come in on a day off to join me and keep me company, and that is the amazing Jack Falahee, who of course plays Connor.
Hey, Betsy.
Hey, Jack Falahee, who plays Connor.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How's your day off going?
My day off is going swell. I had a really tasty date shake earlier.
Did you have a date shake?
Yep, it was really good.
I love me a date shake.
Yeah, I love me a date shake. And then right after enjoying the date shake, I watched this episode of How to Get Away with Murder.
See?
Which was rad.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Are you sort of like me and you can't kind of believe how much story they cram in every single one of these episodes?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. We have like 60-something page episodes, and I'm surprised we get it all in, but we do. In like 42 minutes.
You do, but you guys work very hard shooting this stuff.
Well,
and you shoot
it takes a village, but
it takes very 300 days to shoot.
Yeah,
right?
Like 11, I think.
So sometimes it's 11.
But also 300.
But if anybody from ABC is listening, it's always like 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's 8 or 9.
It's probably 8 or 9.
Never
and
go
then
over.
Sometimes, mysteriously, another couple of days appear, which is like kind of amazing.
But rarely.
This episode is like, okay, there's so much stuff going on. So you guys, by the end of it, are essentially trapped in Annalise's apartment, and Philip is on the loose. We find out all about the backstory of Annalise and her baby, which is super heart-wrenching. We have all this stuff going down with Frank, which is, I can hardly wait to see more about that. What we find out about Wes and his dad. And then in the meantime, you guys are dealing with...
much.
I mean, it's like so much.
Yeah,
and then you guys are being interrogated.
Right.
Which is crazy balls. And by the way, you handled it very well, I might ask.
Thanks. Yeah, I think there's so much going on. I think that for Connor, for me, the biggest thing is immunity being put onto the table for everything else outside of just the one night that we've been covering up. I mean, Connor's terrified. We're all terrified, and they all, everyone gets hammered at the end of the episode because they just don't know how to deal with it.
There's an odd hookup, I would say.
There's a very odd hookup that none of us saw coming.
I didn't see it coming.
So when we read that on the
first time was the
page,
table read, I was like,
yeah, same.
Who's doing what?
Same, yeah. I think I might have been the first person in the cast, well, amongst the Keating Five, to actually read the episode, just because.
Were you really?
Yeah, I think they were all on set working, and I had some downtime, so I went through and read it and sort of texted them, and I was like, ooh. Yeah. It was very childish, but yeah, I mean, that came out of nowhere. I also really liked in this episode that it's sort of, Bonnie has this great line where she says, Connor's tripping out about Oliver coming and maybe it all being exposed to what's going on. And Asher's sort of apologizing about creating this whole dilemma.
That weird sort of
this
12-step moment.
Yeah,
apologizing,
it's super
making amends.
awkward. Yeah. And Bonnie stops him and she says something like, she's like, stop apologizing, we're all bad people, that's the only thing we have in common. And I was like, that's sort of a great log line for the characters on the show.
I think that's a good cocktail napkin.
Yeah, it's a good cocktail napkin for sure. Yeah.
That's hysterical.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm super interested right now too in the dynamic with Oliver because he's getting more and more enamored of the situation from what I can tell.
Right, and he's not a bad person, and that's why
I mean, he totally freaked out at the idea that...
Totally, and I think that makes me really nervous about the Colliver relationship to an extent because, I don't know, can you be with a bad person if you're such a good person? Or, does it work because you're sort of yin and yang? Or, is Oliver going to find out and bounce? I don't know. I mean, it's rattling Connor so much, that, I mean, that's the whole genesis of applying to Stanford and trying to get out of Dodge.
It totally makes sense. I also sort of feel I think one of the best things about the hookup between Michaela and Asher, of course, is that maybe Asher will get off your sofa.
Yeah, that would be great.
I've been feeling for your relationship for a while because I feel like it has taken its toll, man.
Definitely not pleased. It's been getting in the way for sure.
And I think it's the only time I've actually ever seen Oliver get kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, people were insulting his records a while back, which I think was really a problem.
Right, he only had gay records.
As I remember.
That's what Asher
which was
says.
super, super, super problematic.
Yep.
And this whole weird thing with Michaela and Caleb, she's in a weird state. We don't know where he is.
Yeah. Also, I kind of like the Michaela Asher hookup because Asher's such a good guy. I mean, he has like
really is.
He has like a few problems, but he's a really good guy. Whereas like Michaela keeps like ending up with these like characteristically terrible guys potentially. Like I like Michaela with Asher.
What is it going to be, Masher?
Instead of Bosher or McCasher.
And is this the episode where it's Oliver who says Floral?
Yeah, Oliver says Floral is like the cutest.
It's the cutest for a most
right.
romantic name, which I thought was one of the funniest things, because of course he does.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, that relationship's totally imploded.
I don't think it made the final cut of the episode, but I like intentionally, when he says Floral, I like look over and rolled my eyes at him. I know. I don't think it made the cut, but
I'm going to tell you, the spirit of it was there,
yeah,
though.
I really like the idea that Connor's sort of like gags when Oliver says that.
I do like it when Laurel sort of tests the waters with Oliver, and then that scene with the two of you guys in the kitchen, which is like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I really like that Laurel and Carla does so well with it, but that Laurel is like, has a lot of agency in this. I mean, she has really in this season, but that she is like really leading the Keating Five in a big way. And like even at the end, she like comes to Annalise drunk and is like, "You screwed us, and like you've been behind this." And I don't know, I really like her being like, super active and like, you know, getting on Connor's case about this and sort of keeping him in line.
No, I think that was really cool. And then I liked the follow-up scene at the bar. Laurel does seem to sort of be at the heart of everything right now. Like, she's taking care of Wes, she's taking care of Annalise, and she's
keeping Connor in line.
She's keeping Connor in line.
Totally.
Michaela just keeps kind of going off into strange territory, so that's what she's doing. Now, how would you describe your character from the pilot until now? Because it feels like you've gone through a lot of transition and transformation. I don't know, I sort of feel like by now Connor's a lot more tolerant of a lot of stuff than he would have been.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's tolerant, but it's sort of out of survival, that he's kind of in Annalise's clutches now, and he's become complacent in a way, you know. He knows that he, unlike Laurel, who's like being like an agent of free will, Connor in a lot of ways is kind of given up, I think. Except for, I look at it as like this last ditch effort to get out from underneath Annalise by applying to Stanford. And like he also is in love with Oliver. That in a big way is keeping him in the scene. You know, like
I totally agree with you.
I always think like, why doesn't Connor leave? Like Stanford aside, like why doesn't Connor just leave Philadelphia? And it's because Oliver's there. And like Oliver doesn't know. And so I think that like this Stanford thing gives Connor like an alibi in getting at, like in removing himself from his life with Oliver.
I think that's really true. And I think that's the biggest probably transformation of Connor, is that essentially in the beginning of the show, I never would have thought that he was somebody who could have actually fallen in love. And
huge.
You go through this season, and this whole season's pretty much been about solidifying that relationship with Oliver in a way.
Right,
and
totally.
Look, I mean, the fan base, did you ever think you would have a massive fan base?
No, I didn't. It's like, crazy. They're great.
They're great. They're just are so rabid about the storyline. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's great and it's terrific, but it's always amazing that the stuff sort of starts and you never know exactly what people are going to pick up on. But I think you guys have great chemistry, and it's always really fun to watch you together.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Conrad's just so amazing too.
Oh my God, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's so good. But it's funny. The fan base is just, I spend a lot of time creeping on Reddit and Imager and Tumblr, and Tumblr especially, just like I opened it one day and was like, whoa, we're just Colliver's just all over it.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. But the fans, they're awesome. It's cool.
The old days, I think I was talking to Ellen Pompeo about this, but like the old days when we first started Grey's, there were no real social media platforms, so that when people were fans, you would get colored pencil drawings in the mail.
Oh, amazing.
So we'd get like, and we still, if you go to the Grey's Anatomy bungalow, we still have this one, I think, up someplace, which was people who loved Derek and Addison, and it was a drawing of Derek and Addison, and it said Derek and Addison, or like Daddison forever.
That's hilarious. I was in a study group in high school the first year of Grey's.
Were you really?
We would like study for our exams and everything in our classes, and then at the end of it, it was all girls because they were all smarter than me. And so then after that, I was like, well, I want to hang out with the girls, so we would watch Grey's. And so I was like really into Grey's for the first season.
I
so I like might have been one of those people drawing
you might
the colored pencil drawings and sending them to Ellen.
You know, there was, I can't remember if it was Esquire magazine or it was some men's magazine, and it was like second season, they said the easiest way to pick up a woman is to say that you watch Grey's Anatomy.
I mean, yeah.
At a bar, and it would always work. And
yeah.
And if you could suffer through watching it, you would probably get laid. So there was a
like
massive sort of thing with my male
that
friends.
and The Bachelor.
And The Bachelor.
Yeah, for sure.
The Bachelor's totally like...
Go to those viewing parties. I hear they, I mean, you know.
It is total like catnip.
I got to find a Bachelor viewing party.
You say... Okay,
be
guys.
Be right back.
Somebody out there has got a bachelor party viewing party that I think we can invite Jack Falahee to. We need to talk to ABC about that.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we should have
hook it up.
post.
Yeah.
They need to hook this up. Like they should be doing something, right?
I read that Allison Williams met her husband at a Bachelor viewing party.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true. It's a fact. They met at a Bachelor viewing party and then they later became married. Thank you, ABC. Thank you.
Thank you,
The
ABC.
Bachelor.
Thank you, Bachelor. Thank you, Rose
I'd
Ceremony.
love to meet Allison Williams. Anyway.
And I know. Like now, you just kind of want to.
Right.
You just want to ask. Are you up for answering some fan-related questions
cool,
or fan questions from your rabid fans?
Sure.
Okay, one of my favorite people ever, Gabrielle Marie at Gabs wants to know, how do you prepare for emotionally heavy scenes?
It can get pretty dark because we deal with some pretty dark
you guys
material.
Drive down really dark turnpikes.
Yeah, and you know, Pete, like, and all of our fantastic writers just keep writing it, like, every episode, so we keep being thrown into these dark places, but it's good, it's part of the job. I use a lot of music. I have a playlist on my Spotify that is called Jack's Emotional Prep, and I actually realized...
You really call it that?
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's got a bunch of different stuff on it, and songs that, like, you know, act as triggers, sort of, but I actually realized that up until recently, Spotify is like a social platform, and up until recently, my emotional prep playlist was public to all of my friends on Spotify, and so my like friends and family were basically just going through my emotional prep playlist and finding like real embarrassing stuff. Yeah.
Oh my
God!
I've
since made it private. Short
That's a good
answer:
move.
music.
George at iBeeb team. I can't imagine what iBeeb. I know what iBeeb team is. You guys. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite thing about the How to Get Away with Murder cast?
That we are real life best friends off screen.
You guys are.
Which I think is atypical. I think that in Hollywood, sometimes you can maybe not be best friends with your coworkers, but our cast really gets along, which
Your
is
cast
great.
really does. You guys actually do hang out. They really do, you guys.
Yeah,
He's
we
not
really
even
do.
just
It's
saying
not
that.
staged. Although
And you know
sometimes
what?
it does look staged.
It does look a little staged.
Like, did they really go skiing together? Like, yeah, we actually went skiing together. It was great.
Truthfully, this started in the pilot, because you guys all were like hanging out in the pilot.
Well, you guys, Betsy and Shonda and Pete were so great about, that was smart to send us there. So for people that don't know, we were sent to Philadelphia a week before starting to shoot so that we could all hang out and get to know each other, which was smart because...
And then Viola came in really late, which was actually
Which was perfect, kind of.
Because
yeah.
she was kind of scary.
She was, in like it being Viola Davis, and then you meet her and she's like the downest,
Viola
chillest.
Davis, she's great, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Because I spent a lot of time with poor Viola watching her put on costumes, which I don't think was her idea of the best first meetings ever.
Sure,
but I'd be like, I like that peplum, Viola. That looks really good.
Yeah, you look great.
Okay, so now if you could have dinner with 4 people, dead or alive, who would you choose? And this is from Kim at Scandal Fan.
I mean, my mom and dad, probably, just because they'd be upset if I didn't invite them. Actually, really, I very surprisingly, as a 27-year-old man, have all 4 of my grandparents still alive.
Really?
Yeah, and any opportunity I get to be in the same room as all 4 of them is a blessing. So I would say my 4 grandparents.
You guys, listen to that. Okay, so like, that is the sweetest answer ever.
All right.
He could have actually said, oh, I don't know.
Ernest Hemingway, I don't know.
Or like, Kurt Cobain. You picked your family, which is like the nicest answer ever. Now
Sorry,
I
Grandma,
just want to
I'm
hug
gonna get
you.
dinner with Kurt Cobain instead.
See, now he's trading out. I should never have mentioned dead Kurt Cobain. Okay, so do you have any weird audition stories? This is from D at Tree Hill Thrill.
When I was still in college, I was dating someone that lived out here whose parents ran a production company, and someone at that production company who was working in casting, you know, knew I was a young actor, and they're like, I'd love to send you out on an audition. And I was like, great. And it was for The Invisible Man, and I was like, this is awesome, like, I'm gonna go. And I went out to wherever, and I get there, and I'm like, this looks a little sketchy. And I go in to audition for The Invisible Man, and halfway through the audition, they asked me to take my shirt off, and I was like, wait a tick. Turns out the casting director at the production company had mixed up productions of The Invisible Man, and there was simultaneously a movie being cast and a pornographic film being cast, and I went to the casting of the pornographic film.
You know.
So my first audition in Hollywood was for
a porno. That's
and
great.
I don't think my mom knows that story, so I'm sorry, Mom.
But he didn't get the part in.
I didn't get the part.
He didn't take the part. See,
Yeah.
so I think there's such a happy ending to that. But that's actually one of the best bad audition stories I've ever heard. I think that's pretty good. Okay, Monica Joy at Monica Joy wants to know, how would your friends describe you in 3 words?
Oh man, I don't know. Probably difficult, stubborn, handsome.
Yeah, there you go, handsome. She also asked,
So untrue.
who would you want to play you in a movie?
Who would I want to play? I mean, me, probably.
Yeah, if someone's in the Jack Falahee story, who would play you?
If I was unavailable.
If you were unavailable to play yourself.
Maybe I'm directing it.
In the VH1 TV movie.
My brother's kind of a dead ringer for me. I'd be interested to see what his take would be on Jack. Or, I don't know, like Ezra Miller. I think Ezra Miller would be.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He's like just weird enough.
That's a good one. I think he'd handle that porn audition really well.
Yeah, he would crush that scene.
I think he would totally
crush that scene.
Totally crush that scene. I just remember when I first met you, like, you just moved here. There was some years, I remember you talking about where you were living and all this stuff, and that you just kind of gotten here because we called you in and you like had just moved here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you, because I was so like I'm always like schwitzing and just like so anxious. And I remember walking into the screen test for Murder with you and Pete, and I'd gotten into a car accident and was like kind of late, and you then like totally put me at ease because you were like, oh yeah, like driving, like da da da.
It's the worst.
And like we got into this whole funny like back and forth, and I remember sitting there being like, am I gonna audition or am I just gonna talk to Betsy for?
Fine with me.
Yeah,
that's how this whole podcast came around.
Yeah, exactly.
It keeps me from talking to the actors in the auditions all the time.
Sure,
I think it's like you guys actually get to work.
Right.
So it's like one of my and I know I said this to you before, you guys who are listening, but his audition was one of my favorite auditions in the history of auditions that I've been doing for like 13 years, because he came in and we could not find anybody to play this freaking part. Like, there are a lot of talented actors there, but Pete was looking for this really specific thing, and Jack came in, and I've never seen relief flood over Pete Nowak's face in such a great magnitude in my life, because you walked in, you walked out, and you had a test deal going for another show at the same time.
Another show, yeah.
And talking about schwitzing ourselves. Like, we were just vomiting on ourselves, thinking we weren't going to get you.
I was vomiting as well everywhere because I so wanted to do Murder, but I thought that I was going to have to maybe go do the other show. I was freaking out.
Well,
it was a really stressful
whatever
3 days.
show that was, someplace, they're kicking themselves that you didn't end up doing their show.
You guys are stuck with me.
Oh, thank God for that.
On that note, though, I would love to see someday a reel of the Keating Fives audition.
That's a really good idea.
Do like season 8 special feature on the DVD.
Jack Falahee, producer. That's a really good idea. I remember Frank's audition was quite something, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I'd love to see that.
Super good.
Oh, gosh.
Super good. Thank you so much for doing this and
thanks for
coming
having
in.
me.
And by the way, just so you guys, I know you guys want to know, Jack is wearing a super cool t-shirt today. It's of a phenomenal band, the name of which is Thunder Pussy.
Yeah, 4 girls out in Seattle.
Awesome. And some cool green...
They're like they're like denim.
They're like denim, but they're like kind of a smooth denim. And
they're like kind of suede-y. They're
suede-y. They look like they're suede, but they're denim. And some black sneaks.
They're like grandpa shoes.
They're like kind of like grandpa shoes.
DSR, our wardrobe gal, she says I'm the only person in Hollywood that can pull off stylish grandpa shoes.
It's true. And as I think you all know in real life, Jack is indeed quite a clothes horse. That was one of the first things we noticed about Jack when he walked in, was that his outfit was a lot better than any of ours. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks.
And next time on Grey's Anatomy, I gotta tell you guys, Rita Moreno's on Grey's Anatomy next time.
Whoa.
Rita Moreno, one of the greatest actresses of, like, certainly my lifetime, and who's super funny and amazing and talented and great. And Casey Wilson, also phenomenal. Kevin McKidd directs it. You don't want to miss this. This is Thursday, March 17th at 8 o'clock ABC. On Scandal, the episode's called I See You, and I don't know, this whole Olivia Jake thing is heating up. You got all this presidential primary who's running thing going on. It's super, super good, and the emotional stuff's really heating up, you guys. So don't miss that episode. It's Thursday, March 17th at 9 o'clock. And on How to Get Away with Murder. It's the last episode of the season, you guys. Like, stay home. Have a beverage, eat some food. Mm-hmm. You don't want to miss this episode. You do not want to miss this episode because it is incredibly shocking and surprising. And you are going to see something that you'll see many things you will not believe. You're going to learn a lot about a lot. So it's really important that you finish out and see this episode. It's going to be great. It's called Anime, which should tell you a little bit of something. It is going to air Thursday, March 17th as well at 10 o'clock on ABC. And thanks again, EW.com, for posting an exclusive first listen of the podcast every Thursday night. And as you know by now, you can subscribe to the podcast at itunes.com/Sondaland, where each new podcast episode is available on Friday evenings. I will be back next week with another fabulous guest to talk about a fabulous episode of fine television programming. Until then, this is Betsy Beers. Stay safe. We'll be talking soon. Bye-bye.